Hello, and thank you for joining me as for just a few moments we consider some things which are spiritual in their nature, some things coming from the Word of God. In these short videos, we're in the midst of a series about connections. In particular, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the connections between a husband and wife and the love that they share and the companionship that they should have. And I want to add to that this day, going back a little bit to what we talked about in the last video. Back in Genesis chapter 1, God's going through the things that He's created, and He's saying everything is good until He comes to man being alone, and He says, it is not good that man should be alone. And so I want you to notice what God determines to do having seen that. He said, I will make him a helper suitable or comparable or meet for him. And I think in that we see something very important concerning the connection that's to exist between a husband and wife. Notice that Eve was to be a helper that was to be suitable or comparable to Adam. We understand in that first that men and women are not exactly alike. I know that many people in our society today would like to tell you that men and women are exactly the same except for anatomical differences. However, that is certainly not the case. Men and women are intended to complement and complete each other, not to be identical to each other or exactly the same. There are some profound differences between men and women that go beyond the physical. She was to be a helper, not exactly like him, but a helper suitable for him. But also in that, let me note this with you in the second place, that there is to be help offered in the marriage relationship. You see, Eve was going to provide help that Adam needed, and Adam was going to provide help that Eve needed. As we said just a moment ago, they're there to complement and to complete each other, and we need to see that in our marriage relationships today. I think one thing that'll help the connections between husbands and wives to be there and to be stronger is when we recognize that there are differences, when we dwell with each other with understanding of those differences, even as Paul said, husbands, dwell with your wives with understanding. And also when we recognize that God created this relationship where we would be a help to one another. And I know personally this is true, but honestly, if all of us looked at our marriage relationships, we could perhaps see areas where we could offer more help even than we do today. And when we recognize those differences, when we dwell with each other with understanding of those differences, and when we seek to provide help to our husband or wife, we're going to find that strong marriage that God would have us to have, and those connections in that marriage that would be pleasing to God and of a benefit to our relationship. Thank you.